Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Welcome in. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, February 8th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What's up? Good to be back, everybody, and another big weekend coming up. So, yeah, a lot to talk about this week for sure, right? I mean, there was a lot that happened last weekend, and it's a cloudy picture right now, and it's kind of fun.
Cloudy is the most generous way of calling it right now, I'd say.
Yeah.
And you've said this as well, but we got to keep reminding ourselves that it is February, early February at that. With that said, it was definitely not the return you were hoping for Fierceness last week, and I've seen a lot of people, myself included, just really struggling this week with kind of, who do you even rank number one at this point? Because the clear one horse is Nysos, and you can't rank him number one, and so it's like, what do you do with that, and where do you put Fierceness? And we talked a lot about it because watched us live on Saturday. We talked a lot about it afterwards. It's like, what are we supposed to do with this horse?
Yeah, you go all the way from taking him off the list to moving him down towards the middle to keeping him at number one. I've seen all three. So, look, I think at this point you just have to kind of you learn something, right, about him every time, and I think you just kind of learn like he's not too keen on wanting to pass other horses. So I think moving forward, you look at a race, you go, well, can he get the lead? Yes. Okay. Maybe he can win. No, he can't. I think that's how you have to treat him. The one thing that if you singled him, why wasn't he on the lead? If they truly went 50 seconds for a half mile, he should have been like 3 or 4 lengths in front. Right. And so that's the other thing. It's like, you should have never found out that about him, and maybe they did it on purpose. Maybe they wanted to kind of try to rate him off of a horse and see what he would do. I mean, these are preps, kind of experiments for the big ones. How he was ever behind in that race is kind of crazy to me as well. But it is what it is. It's kind of wild right now for sure.
It makes no sense. It makes zero sense what happened. Like I was talking to you about it earlier today. And even then it doesn't make any sense. But if Hades wins and it's like, Fierceness runs this really, pretty A to B plus run effort. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, damn, like that Hades just ran a huge race. Like the numbers come back like 94 and 95 or whatever, you're like, yeah, Fierceness maybe didn't run his top race, but he ran pretty damn good and he got beat. And then you're like, well, that's crazy. But you can at least kind of say, well, next race for Fierceness. Like he didn't totally not show.
Yeah.
But when you see the final time, when you see the numbers they got, when you see all that together, on top of the fact that he didn't even get close to winning the race.
Yeah.
It doesn't even it doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense at all.
No.
You can't come up with a logical reason for that.
Yeah, I think, if you kind of listen to us or you read John White's article on Express Bet last week, we kind of said, look, he doesn't have to run the Breeders' Cup race. If he just kind of runs his maiden race, he'll win. He'll win the race. That was 100% true. You look at all the numbers, it's like, yeah, he just needed to show up. Yeah, but he didn't do that. And he dropped anchor. He dropped anchor so fast in that race. It was like, holy, like, She just said, no, thank you. Now you watch that head on, you do, because Rob said maybe he hasn't grown any. You watch the head on, he's certainly, the Hades is a much larger horse than Fierceness. Yeah. And you could almost see like he got a little intimidated by Hades, no doubt, right? And that's when he stopped. But again, these are things that you can say it about him and it's true, but these aren't that isn't something that good horses do. I guess what I'm trying to say, like, a good horse will fight you. And a good horse, to be completely honest, just would have looped him, right? He would have got intimidated because he would have been by him, And you look at Nysos, like you mentioned, Nisos never would have got intimidated by Hades. You know why? Because by the time Hades saw him, he'd be looking around like, where the hell did he go?
Yeah.
And that's what you do against a horse like Hades, who is a good horse, but not anything elite. And if you've got a great amount of talent, you're just going to circle him, So it's a lot of flaws for that we found for Fierceness. I think before that race, you kind of said, well, maybe that really sloppy track, he just hated it. And that could have been in the excuse, right? But then you see it again this time, and it's like, well, he's a need the lead type. And, if he's in a race that doesn't have a lot of pace, like the one last weekend, maybe they just gun him instead, and then he can win. And again, that's the other thing. The horses were exactly who we thought they were. The race went extremely slow, like we thought it would, and he still didn't win. And that's just like, wow, that was an all-time bad performance. And I've went as far as to say he's one of the worst, like 1-9 performances I've ever seen, because I don't count like when a horse gets hurt or hops from the gate and he's a speed horse, but he hops the gate and he's last. He never runs. I mean, like, it was the worst 1-9 I've ever seen where like he rounds the corner. And it's like, okay, here he goes. And then like, I've never seen one do that like that. Like, and you said it, if Hades takes off and they're 8 clear of everybody else and Fierceness loses by a neck or even a half, you're like, God, that Hades, man, he fired a huge race. That did not happen. It was not anywhere close to that.
Kevin O, if 25% cranked, he wins that race. Like that.
It's not true. I mean,
well, first of all, yeah, it's not true. But second of all, even at that, his 25% is still good enough to win that race. That's the thing. Like, It makes zero sense. I think the biggest thing for him is he's just heartless. He's heartless. He's got extreme talent when he does, because we've seen it. But if he's not on the lead, and the break killed him, and not to say like, you're right, like good horses don't let that break kill him. But in his case, it kind of hurt him because he wants to get to the lead and not have any trouble and no pressure. And if he does, then it's fine. But he got into a little trouble, got a little squeezed out of the gate, didn't really get comfortable until the backstretch. And then by then he was not having it, right? He just wasn't having it. And so he's he's just, we've heard it straight from the barn too. It's like, he doesn't have a lot of heart, and it's unfortunate, and it makes betting him impossible, but it also makes it such a tough challenge moving forward, because we know at his best, he's untouchable, really, especially when you consider like who's going to be running in this race this year, right? No Baffert horses. He's untouchable. But at the same time, he could also make you look incredibly. You think you felt stupid betting Tapit Trice last year in the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah.
He'll make you look even dumber.
Yeah, the Derbies are really tough. I'm not even thinking about it for him, but like, if you do want to think about it for a second, the way that Derby pace has gone the last few years, if it is anything like that, he will run last most likely. But you have seen Derbies where the pace is a little bit slower, and if he falls on the lead, maybe, I don't know, but he's going to be awkward from now on. There's no doubt. And you kind of said it, hey man, that break got him in some trouble, no question. However, if you go watch, and you said it, I'm not arguing with you, but if you go watch Nisos, he broke pretty poor in that race. But like you said, a good horse, we're not saying go down to your knees and your nose hits the dirt. We're saying a little stumble, it's kind of a little, wasn't all that clean. A good horse like that can recover. And it was like it took him till the backside to really get into his rhythm. That's how long it kind of took him. But again, you go watch the race, it's like up the backside, you're like, oh, he's really fine. He's not on the lead, but he is. He's just right there, and he'll probably just cruise. And maybe he wins by like 3 because it took a little out of him that first turn, but it was just nothing. There was no effort whatsoever when he needed to get going. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really shocking because you've seen him do it before, but it's very much like, wow, he's kind of a bastard, for lack of a better word.
It's been a rough Well, a couple of weeks, week or so for Pletcher. Goodness,
Yeah.
he had two of what going into the day. You could argue, you could at least make a case that two of the best 3-year-olds running, and Born Noble and Fierceness on the same card, and neither one of them got really close necessarily to winning the races. And on top of that, then you have, someone mentioned Kevin. You saw, no Locked come this weekend. That, Locked was supposed to be returning into the same if Davis. And, for all we can say really is that it doesn't seem like we'll see him anytime soon. And so then there's that aspect. So it's like, and then he had, it just feels like we went from with Pletcher, went from, oh my gosh, like, you take your pick, like it's going to be, I can't even put my finger on which one or how many he's going to have in the Derby and which one's going to be his horse too. Who does he have that's decent, which is kind of weird, right?
Well, Ryan was talking to me about this today. I said, well, he's been counted out many times in February or even early March. And then you get to the race and he got 3 in there. So it's a pivot. There's no doubt. And it was a horrible weekend for him. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that, but he'll find some horses, I'm confident of it. I don't know who it is. He'll find them. But yeah, it was a horrible weekend. And, the Born Noble thing, for the way I looked at it, and we don't have any confirmation of this. This is just me watching the race. I really believe one of two things happened. He got injured, or when he switched his leads, he just got crossed up somehow because he was running and doing everything about as smooth as you could do it. And he took a bad step at the 8th pole, and that lead went from 6 links to 2 links like that. And I really think he was getting ready to cruise to a nice win. And then, racing, something happened. I'm not saying it was a bad injury or anything, but some little something happened to him. I really believe that. So I don't know what you do with him next, and I don't know what you do with any of these horses that have disappointed for Pletcher next,
Man, Kevin, you know what? We're going to find out. It does seem like it's getting more and more to be like that. Again, I can't stress this enough that we are still sitting in February, and we've seen Asmussen horses kind of do the opposite of what he's talking about with Pletcher, where it looks like he's got a couple really good prospects to where they kind of phase out. Not only phase out, but you know what I mean? Like they become a little less exciting as the race gets closer, or they let you down completely. But having said that, it does feel like we've got a couple, and we're going to find out next week in the Risen Star, especially with a few of these Hall of Fame, Track Phantom. Gosh, it definitely feels like at least one of those is could make a really big case for being like his horse.
Yeah. And I think, I've said on a couple of videos, I said, everybody just, not relax, but everybody just kind of remember we haven't ran a 50-point race yet, right? So this thing, the way trainers train horses now, this thing really doesn't get going until those 50-point races anymore. And I know that's a kind of an adjustment for even guys that have been in it as long as you and I have, which isn't as long as maybe many of you listening, but a good amount. That thing really started in January, it now you look back at the last 4 or 5 years of this thing, those 50-point races are really when this thing actually gets going. So that Risen Start you talked about, which is next week. Okay, we've had Track Phantom look great, but he's been facing Nash. Now he's going to face Shippers. He's going to face a horse from his own barn that might be better than him. We'll find out. So that Risen Star is going to tell us a lot. And I've been comparing this horse to Epicenter, but I've also been saying, don't forget, Epicenter in the Risen Star and in the Louisiana Derby made massive leaps and strides and got better.
Yeah.
Can Track Phantom do that? We're going to find out next week, but that's the key, right? Like Epicenter was just solid, like Phantom's been solid. And then, man, he really blossomed. So the next, maybe not to this week with the Sam F. Davis, but after that, that's when this thing actually really gets going.
Well, and really other than last week with Fierceness and of course the the horses being eliminated essentially with the Bob Baffert barn. we haven't really, like you said, like there hasn't been a lot of like, okay, that's a make or break type of situation now. Like, okay, I mean, Nash is kind of in there maybe because it's like, okay, he's had a couple chances. Maybe he's not like, but you know what I mean? Like, it just definitely feels like either the ones that have been promising. You look at a horse like Dornick, who we still don't even know what he really is yet. We'll find out maybe in the Fountain of Youth. And the list kind of goes on, right? With some of these horses where it's like, I think Sierra Leone, I think that horse is pretty good. But let's see when, let's really see when these 50-point races. So like you said, like it isn't alarming yet. I would say it's it's getting a little like interesting to say the least, but it's not. I'm not like totally like this is just completely awful for these horses.
Yeah, we've had a lot of like injuries come up, each week. It's like with the Lock situation, we'll see what happens with him and El Capi's out and this and that. And then I guess you kind of count the Baffords as defections from the Derby. So now it's kind of like, okay, let's stop that and let's kind of get to what this actually looks like. Right. And I mean, sitting here right now, it doesn't look great, but I've also been impressed by Track Phantom down at Fairgrounds, and I was really impressed by Hall of Fame. So maybe that's kind of where it's like, okay, there are good horses. They just weren't, last weekend at Gulfstream and Aqueduct.
Is this the year for McPeak with the Mystic Dan, who maybe looked arguably the most, well, as far as Derby horses that can run in the Derby, most impressive last week in the Southwest?
Certainly was the most impressive last week. And
yeah, he got a huge number for it too.
He deserved it. I mean, if you gallop away by 10 and stop the clock at a fast time, I mean, you really have no choice but to give him a fast number. I understand their hesitation. He's not going to run to the Arkansas Derby. It was a sloppy track. We've seen McPeak win on sloppy tracks at Oaklawn before with horses. I don't think it's his year. No, this horse, you talk about inconsistent. Go look at that horse. That horse is wildly inconsistent. So it's hard to know what you're going to get out of him. He had a really nice maiden number and win and everything like that. But when they kind of got him going longer, he didn't look all that good. And then last week, it's like, oh, well, maybe I don't know who he is. Like, I'm still very skeptical with him.
That was either a different horse, like literally, like they changed the horse, or the slop did something nuts to him, because that you're right. Like you looked at the form, there were two McPeaks in the race, and this one was like, well, he doesn't want to go this far. The other one is and we talked a little bit about it on Blinkers Off last week. We're like, well, that's the one that you'd be kind of like maybe interested in the other one, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact when they rounded and he spurted off, you're like, oh shit, what is he doing?
Yep. The whole, like, not the whole race, but like on the turn, I think one of us, I don't remember who it was, mentioned, it's like, man, I think it was you. It's like, this one is really ranging up, but I really don't think he wants to go this far. Mm-hmm. Kind of saying he's looking great, but this is where he's going to hit that wall.
No wall.
He just didn't hit it.
No wall.
The wall. He broke it down.
He broke it down, and then everyone else behind him just said, fuck it. So, I don't know. It was, so we'll see. Obviously, he's going to be overbet no matter how you look at it in the next race, big time. Are they said, I mean, it's McPeak. I'd assume we're going Rebel Arkansas Derby.
No, straight to the Arkansas Derby.
Oh, all right.
So that's kind of the other problem with him. You get that one data point. You get nothing in between. So it's like, I don't even know how to handle him in the Arkansas Derby. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's not, there's nothing about him. I mean, other than that race, there's nothing about him that I was like, yeah, give me long, he needs to go long.
No.
So, and he's not bred to go long really. And so, yeah, we'll see. But if it's, I'd say there's an equal chance that we don't see him again to the Arkansas Derby, or that we might see him on the turf between now and the Arkansas Derby. Like I think both are very plausible for me.
Take him down to Gulfstream and run him on the turf once.
Yeah, and then run him the Arkansas Derby, and then run him on the turf again just as a prep or warm him up, and then run him in the Kentucky Derby. So
seriously, by June he may be on the turf, right? Like you just never know.
Would not. And then he wins a race on the turf at like, huge price. And then the quote is, This is kind of what we thought of him all along. You know,
Yeah, we always wanted to get him on the turf. Okay, yeah,
he's always been exactly what we thought. You know, that's why we
Yeah.
tried him on 14 different tracks and different surfaces. So,
Yep.
but here we are. So, all right. Let's get into today's action. We're going to do some Sam F. Davis. We're going to go to Tampa Bay for the Sam F. Davis Stakes. It is a Kentucky Derby prep. Of course, then we're going to get some rapid fire selections for the remaining stakes races this weekend at Golden Gate. That's right. Anita Park and Tampa Bay. We've got 2 Kentucky Oaks prep races as well. Let's go. That Santa Anita Oaks race, boy. Baffert's got 2 out of the 5, I think, in there.
Yeah, it
looks
like it's going to be a good
race. So
yeah. Oh man, people. I was gonna say, Michael says Gulfstream Park pick 6 looks easy. Kevin said that means bombs. And CB said boring ass card at golf. That is sometimes though when you do get that weird like what happened today, like. And I think of that with something else we'll talk about a little later, but it's like you look sometimes though it's the worst feeling when you look at something and say this is so obvious. It's like, oh, it's too obvious, you know.
I've got something about that too later. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think we have the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I know and then you start thinking it's kind of like when you got that sweet price on Warm Heart and you're like, what am I missing here? What is something? I'm missing something.
Yeah. You get that pit in your you get that pit in your stomach like, oh God, this isn't going to work out because it's just too good. So sometimes they do work out. So yeah, that's the good news.
All right, Tampa Bay on Saturday, race number 10, the Sam F. Davis Stakes. It's a grade 3. Of course, it is a Kentucky Derby prep race, 20-10-642. And of course, it is their prep race for the Tampa Bay Derby at Tampa Bay Downs. $250K going to mile 16th for 12 3-year-olds. And as you know, the odds are just kind of coming out here. And, you know, I texted Alterman a little bit ago before we went live. I said, who the hell is even going to be the morning line favorite of this race? And it's that kind of race. Change of command for Shug is your 3-1 morning line favorite, 7-2 on Agate Road. Scratched off the turf last weekend for Todd Pletcher and entered here. Interesting move for the Pletcher horse, 7-2 on Agate Road. Then you've got another Pletcher in here in Tireless, kind of all over the board, essentially of horses. Not exactly the most. I would say it's a good betting race, maybe not the deepest of race, but it starts with Change of Command. The 9 looks the best, right? I don't disagree with the odds here, really. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I reluctantly picked the 9 Change of Command on top. Don't really love that he's the favorite, but I think he is one of maybe 3 or 4 that he seems like a pretty kind of doing things the right way, up and coming, progressing nicely type is how I would describe it. You know, it did take a while. It took 4 races for this horse to break his maiden, but he got beat by Sierra Leone. He got beat by Fierceness. Like, he was in some really tough races. Finally got it done at Gulfstream emphatically. And then, look, I mean, last time out, I think we were all getting ready to go on the air or something, but we were all watching that race together there at Gulfstream. And when he turned the corner in that allowance race at Gulfstream, I was like, this horse looks like a really good horse. Like, he looks like he's one we better keep an eye on. And he just kind of hung a little bit in the stretch, right? He still won by a neck, but it's like, man, he didn't kick away. They're adding blinkers here. That might help with something like that. I just kind of think he's a little bit better than the rest of this group. So I went number 9, Change of Command on top.
Yeah, I like the blinkers on move because there's really nothing about him that, you know, he just seemed like he got a little more distracted late. But you're right. Everything about that race until that point was like, he visually looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone off the heavy favorite, the last 2 races. I don't know if he'll go off a heavy favorite here, but the fact that we had, it would have been nice to see him in here with Locked, right? Because then you would have got a little better price for sure on Change of Command. Now, kind of like you mentioned, you're kind of forced to take him at a short price. Having said that, I just don't know. Like, who's his biggest threat? Is it the turf horse? I mean, is
I
it Agate
think
Road? I mean, I don't like his numbers are nice, and Jose jumps off of command. Do you think that, or change of command? Do you think that's a situation of it's Pletcher
yeah.
and just I ride for Pletcher basically?
Yep. Yep. I think it is that. You kind of look up and down this card. I mean, Jose's on a ton of Pletcher horses, a ton. And a lot of them, at least in the stakes races, his brother's been riding, and his brother didn't come, which I thought that was weird. I thought Irad would be here, but anyway, I think that's all it is. I think it's a Pletcher thing more than anything else. Probably could commit to a bunch of rides for him here. Where Shug, it's you're going to ride this one, and I don't know what else, So, look, I get that my people make a pause for that, but I can't support the 6 at a short price. I think he's going to get bet pretty harder than that 7-2.
Yeah. To me, it feels desperate. I mean, it just feels like, hey, Locked is we're back. Whatever happened with Locked, and we need a horse basically in here, and we've been kind of contemplating trying him on the dirt again. He debuted on the dirt. Like, I don't love the fact that we debut the horse on the dirt and then immediately switch to the turf. And then not only do we switch to the turf, he does well on the turf, runs and wins a grade 2, runs 5th in the Breeders' Cup, comes back from the Breeders' Cup on the turf, and then we say scratch him out of a turf race and then run him here. I just don't love that move. I think that seems just, like I said, like we'll give it a shot.
It's like scattered is kind of how I would describe it, lack of a better term, just a kind of a, we'll do this, then we'll do this. And I'm with you. I kind of like just, this is our path. That's it. Unless something happens, that's what we're doing type of thing, other than, well, maybe we'll do this now and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of like Michael says, he's a 6 is a fade for me on top. And he does kind of feel like one that will kind of make that move late where you go, oh, he ran okay, just not quite as good as normal,
Yeah, I mean, because I think he is, like, I don't want to, like, I think Ag Road is a nice horse, and you're one of those that, we kind of said this about, who was it? Not Locked. What's the other one? The one that was awful last week. The other
Noted.
Who?
Noted.
Yeah, sorry. So, like, until last week, right? Noted was so reliable, like, and that's the way Agate Road has been. Like, even in the races he's lost, he's made a run. So you even on the dirt. So you got to. I would think he's just classy enough to. Like, I wouldn't leave him off everything completely, but I am going to play against him on top. So let's talk about a few others, because I'm with you. I think Change of Command is the likely winner. Has the speed, draws outside too. So it's like, if he doesn't get to the lead, shouldn't hamper him. I mean, he's a horse that can kind of be tactical with it. Going distance is not going to be an issue for him, at least spread wise. And so hopefully with the blinkers on, he'll be a lot more engaged later in the race. But let's talk about a few potential, because it is the Sam F. Davis. Let's talk about a few potential upsetters here. And I'll kick it off with the 11. Fulmineo, whatever. Breeders' Cup horse, right? Didn't run well in the Breeders' Cup, but the Pilgrim, who Agate Road beat that day, finished second. They came back, and now this is an example, Halterman, of what I would have liked to have seen from Agate Road, right? This is a horse that debuted on the dirt. I get it. But then after the Breeders' Cup, they've come back as 3-year-old and went straight to the dirt. And that, to me, tells me, hey, we think he still can run on dirt. He ran okay on dirt, and now they give it another try here. He's 15-1 on the morning line. He has the class, right? He's running some, graded stakes races. If there's an upsetter here kind of coming from the sky, so to speak, I wouldn't be completely surprised if it's 11.
Yeah, no, I agree. Me too. I think that the 11 does make a lot of sense in here as well. I think I'm looking at all closers, honestly, after the 9. I do think there's going to be some pace in this race, and I think it's going to set up pretty good for closers in the race. I just think the 9 is good enough to kind of not get overly involved / stick around, but the 11 definitely one I'm interested in. I thought the 2 for Todd Pletcher, Tireless, the other Todd Pletcher in the race, gets the local jockey Gallardo to ride. That was a good sign. He's another one. I think he's going to come from out of it. I think they're just going to let him come back and make one run. And so I thought the 2 made sense. I thought the 4, Crazy Mason, who beat the 11, made sense as well. So yeah, those are definitely 3 of them for sure that I'm looking at. That I'm not real confident they're going to get all the way up and maybe win, but I think these horses can make a run there from the back.
Yeah, and I'm slightly interested, although I wish that we got a better draw with the 12 Ellison Meadows, just because this is a horse that, for Bill Mott, and you get Alvarado, but like this is a horse that hasn't lost yet. It's been really good, really, but they were both, Aqueduct, state bred type races, like not exactly, beating huge horses. Is stretching out. City of Light, I mean, I think the horse can get this far, but drawing this wide, and we know Bill Mott can win a race like this, and with horses that maybe shouldn't. But the outside post for me is going to be like he might. I just don't know if this horse is quite good enough to overcome all those obstacles.
Yeah, I had some mild interest in the 12, but I was kind of with you. 2 sprint races at Aqueduct. Now we're at Sam Houston. We draw the 12. We're going 2 turns. We're facing open company for the first time. I think it's a good sign that Bill Mott brings the horse down here. I think it does mean that he likes this horse a bit, but there's a lot of question marks there. I do think he'll handle the distance. I'm not really worried about that, but I don't know. To me, it's a lot to ask. Pace presence, maybe, like drawn out wide. Maybe they just send the horse. I'm not sure. He was confusing to me. I don't think he's going to, in the end of the day, I don't think he's going to be good enough to win. So I kind of left the 12 off.
All right. So Litigate, Classic Causeway, Candyman Rocket, Sully Volante, Well Defined, Flame Away, McCracken, Destin. Those are some of the lists of the horses that have won in recent years. What do you think of the winner of this one this year? Let's go. I guess I'll go 1.5.
I got to go under if it's 1.5.
1.5 to get to the Kentucky Derby out of this race. You go under. Yeah. I think it's under. I think it's 1. I would have said 1 because I think 0.5 you go over.
Yeah, especially you got to kind of take into account there's 4 or 5 starting gates that are going to be open because there's no Baffert. So it's kind of like with my rankings. I said today, I said you got to, or Monday when I was doing them, I said you got to rank somebody. Like I don't have that many good things to say about horse X here, but you got to rank somebody, right? And so it's the same what goes with qualifying. 20 horses are going to qualify for this thing. So I think the winner of this, or at least somebody out of this, will get into the starting gate.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that makes it it's tricky though, because if some reason one of these horses, like if Change of Command doesn't win here, I guess if you could make a case, either one of the Pletcher horses wins, then you could definitely see that horse, being one of those. That's a very good example of one of those horses that shouldn't be in the Kentucky Derby that he could get into the Kentucky Derby, right? Because if he can get one of those horses in some way, then obviously there's your one. So I think it's 1, but I don't know which one it is.
No.
But it does make it, if you do have some crazy upset here with the 12, if the 11 wins, if any of these other ones that not trained by Pletcher or Shug win, then it becomes a little more interesting for me as far as horses. I don't know that anyone from this race can get there. So, because you don't typically see like, okay, they're going to rebound from here, and especially if it's not like Shug or Pletcher,
right?
Someone of those. If it's just one of these, the 8 or something, it's like, well, that horse isn't getting in,
right?
So, and then this has been a nice. Oh, did we lose him? What happened to him? Usually it's me with the issues.
Whoa.
Well, there you go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. So
How weird is that? My camera just stopped working.
on your computer,
Yeah.
weird. All of a sudden now we see magic. So
Okay, I'll try to get back on here.
okay, well I'll so there you go, guys. That is that's a look at the same F Davis. Halter and I are both going with the number 9. Change of command to win the same F Davis.
Yeah, that's
you
weird.
choose
It's like
me.
my computer is frozen, but you can still hear me. So that's very strange.
Yeah, you went away immediately, and it got. And for some reason, I don't know how. There he is. Whoa.
Hey.
I don't know. For some reason, I don't know how did Magic. Why is it always Magic's picture on those? I never have understood that. So
I don't know, but you know what? I swear to you, I think Equibase screwed up the computer because
it seems
I
likely.
went to check. Rob said Bill Mott hasn't won a dirt race at Tampa in at least 3 years, and I said, well, how long ago did Rocket Can and Nova Rags finish 1-2 in this race? And it was 3 years ago, but I was going to check that. And as soon as I looked that up, I froze.
Yeah, Equibase.
So
Something about Equibase, guys, you can't if you're trying to do anything quick on Equibase, you can't do it quick.
I think I'm gonna have to
Yeah, you're gone again.
Yeah, it definitely Equibase definitely has screwed up my computer again.
Once you restart or something,
yeah, I think I'm gonna have to restart.
All right, I think I can vamp for a little while. All right, guys. So we're gonna do some rapid fire here. Not much going on this weekend, like I mentioned in the opening, other than the same F Davis. But we do have the Suncoast on the undercard there, which is an Oaks race. You got the Las Virgenes out at Santa Anita. That's an Oaks race. So we'll talk about those two when Halterman makes his return. And then El Camino Real Derby is not a Derby prep anymore. So sad, I know. But we will at least mention that because I imagine at least 1 or 2 of those will end up in some way, in some capacity, running on the road, down the road. If nothing else, maybe like the Jeff Ruby Stakes or something like that, which is a Derby prep. So the John Pataglia is March 2nd. I guess one of them could get in there. But yeah, El Camino is not one on there anymore, but we will talk about it. So hello, Jose. How's it going? Yeah. So this weekend obviously is from a Derby perspective is not super awesome. But then you get the Risen Star coming out next week. Sunland Derby is that Sunday, a week from this Sunday. You got the Rebel the week after. It gets the Fountain of Youth. That the week after, so March 2nd, is nutty. You got the Gotham, the San Felipe, and the Fountain of Youth. And then the Tampa Bay Derby is the week after that. And then obviously, here we go. But that weekend, we'll really, between now, these next couple weeks are when we start to really hone in on some of these horses. And I'm interested to see what we see in that Rebel. Who else coming to the Rebel? I know Timberlake's been pointing to the Rebel. I guess no Mystic Dan there. But I'm sure we'll see a Baffert or 2 show up. So we'll see what the Rebel brings. But the Rebel is always one of our favorite races, one of our favorite prep races every year. Am I going? I would say it's 70-30 that I'll go, like on the positive side. So we'll see if my my co-host slash Oaklawn partner is healthy enough to go. I think he's good. I think he can move his arm now. So yeah, I imagine we'll go. But the Rebel and the Arkansas Derby for us is our 2 just almost can't miss races. We typically try to go to that. Then we'll go to, we've been going to the Bluegrass the last couple of years, which is fun. Last year it snowed during the Bluegrass. Hey, what's up?
I'm back.
You look good. You look refreshed.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't like that. I couldn't even get it to restart. I had to just turn it off manually. So good job, Equibase.
I'm glad they didn't officially kill your computer. So
right. Yeah. Nope. It's all good now. Working good.
Shawnee was asking if we're going to go to the Rebel.
Yes, I am. I don't know about you.
That's what I said.
Look at this.
I know one of us will.
Yep. I wasn't going to because I didn't think I would be I'd be able to. And no, I won't be a problem now because like I said, when this first happened, I really couldn't move my arm, but it's like a real arm now.
Yeah, rumor is, guys, that Halterman can now throw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah, I'm rookie of the year. They put that joint in me. Yeah. Whatever that was.
One more. Okay.
Oh, that's a good movie.
All right, guys, let's do some rapid fire now that
All right.
my esteemed co-host is back. All right, time for rapid fire, guys. Presented by, that's right. I think this is the first time ever presented by, how about Papa Dude's Sports Picks, Halterman? How about this guy has been on a tear. He's been making the rounds all over social media, all over our shows. Papa Dude's Sports Picks, but he's done so well now with the sports picks that I added them to the main menu. So if you go to racingdudes.com, I don't know if he knows about this, but if you go to racingdudes.com under free picks, you can see Papa Dude's Sports Picks. That's right. And you just go straight to his page where it looks like he's got 4 plays.
Yep.
He's got 4 plays today.
Yep.
He's got 1 for NCAA football. I'm going to guess that's not right.
So, yeah, he's not the greatest with a computer. So every once in a while he'll get a label wrong, but the games are always right. So just remember that. Every once in a while, every once in a while, I'll go in and kind of clean up his mess a little bit there. But yeah, look, we talked about last week. He was hot. He did well all through, that last weekend. He started 9-1 this week, and so he was just crushing. He did go 2-2 last night, and he was very, very upset about it. I was like, look, you're not going to go 4-0, 3-0 every night. Like, you're going to have to lose one every now and then. So he's back with 4 tonight, though.
There you go. Just and that's the thing about what makes his picks, all of us, myself, definitely, like, I'm more of a spot play, and some weekends and whatever, and I'll go heavier. But he's every day. He's got every plays and picks and analysis for NBA and college basketball, NFL, whatever it is. He's got action pretty much every night, right? And so if you guys, again, like it's and I've seen a lot. Like, I mean, I haven't seen anyone that's been on this kind of heater. So it's like free money right now. So if you want to go, follow along with his picks, you can go get his picks right now. Like I said, on the main menu at racingdudes.com. And just, again, just keep in mind that the analysis is spot on. The tags might be, but just use your brain a little bit. All right, Alterman, we're going to go to the former Derby prep, no longer, right? Race number 7 at Golden Gate Fields on Saturday. It is the El Camino Real Derby, worth 100K, going a mile and 1/8 on the all-weather track for 3-year-olds. Field of 8 lines up, and I kind of mentioned in the opening, or while you're resetting your computer, that while this isn't an official Derby prep, we'll probably see at least a couple of these at some point, one of these synthetic preps after this. But yeah, like I said, field of 8, and thoughts on a few of these. I thought, the 6 and the 7, Endlessly and Tapello are interesting horses in here.
I kind of like the 7 Tapello. I don't know how you say it really. I do kind of like that horse. And I'm with you. I think out of all of them, the 7 Tapello and Endlessly, I'd give you that as well. Probably the ones that could jump up and maybe make an impact on this Derby trail. But for this spot, I love the way this horse is kind of progressing. I think we'll take to the synthetic. So I like number 7 Tapello in the spot.
Yeah, to me, it was pretty easy between these two, to be honest with you. I was kind of deciding between you got one that you think might do okay on the synthetic, and the other one who at least has the turf kind of pedigree to say, okay, well, I think this horse will transition okay on the synthetic. Both have their their angles, and got to keep in mind too, like we kind of have proven, I think, the last year or two, that like sometimes the synthetic route isn't necessarily a complete throwout. It kind of more depends on you look at two fills, like it kind of depends on the horse, right? And so if you think that horse can either does have the experience on the dirt or can have it looks like could transition well, like sometimes it's just an easier path to get there. So keep that in mind with a couple of these. I'm gonna go with you went with Tapello. I'm gonna go with Endlessly, just the inside. Both, I mean, really you're trying to take in a shot as who you think is gonna go to the synthetic. But this is a horse that's been on the turf all along, has really had routed off 3 straight wins, went to the Breeders' Cup, dude, was 5-1 in that race. So obviously very very sought out, very a bet that day. Of course, that was out at Santa Anita. This is a West Coast horse, but Unquestionable went on to win that race. I mean, you're not beating that horse that day, but this is a horse that had rattled off 2 Grade 3 wins on the turf. Like I said, bet in the Breeders' Cup. Now switches over here. Rispoli gets the mount, who teams up very well for McCarthy. So, if this horse can get this synthetic and this distance, I like the horse being kind of off the pace. Again, if the horse can get this, can transition to this surface, which I don't see any reason why. I like this horse coming to pick him up late. So give me what number is this? The 6 Endlessly. Again, though, I'll say this though, like your horse, just because of the dirt background, like it seems a little, especially being McCarthy and you got a Sadler on, for yours, like if there is one that I don't even want to know if I say excited is the best word, but if there's one that I would at least be a little more encouraged going to the dirt, transitioning from this, as it relates to the Kentucky Derby, it would be the Sadler horse, I would say.
We'll see. I'm kind of with you. It's like, yeah, probably none of them, but that Endlessly horse, he's kind of like, it's kind of like the established pick versus like the up and coming pick,
Any idea what Magic Track, what it is? I don't know. Do you have any idea what Magic Track is?
Yeah, they'll do the Tampa Bay late pick 5 for Saturday. Yep.
I mentioned I hate Equibase.
Dude, trust me, I understand. I was moving right along and went to look up
it's probably about
on Bill Mott, and I was gone.
You know how you have you can just get the early signs of your computer about ready. It's like I feel like it's thanks to Equibase. I probably have a couple viruses on there now. But all right, let's go to Santa Anita. These last 2 will be Kentucky Oaks prep races, guys. Race 5 at Santa Anita on Saturday, the Las Virgenes Stakes. It's a Grade 3 worth 100K going 1 mile for 3-year-old fillies. Field of 5 lines up here. 2 are trained by Bob Baffert, so there goes some points. But you're looking at a race with Kinza, who looked amazing on debut. But I got to tell you, Halterman, that number 4 Copian for Mandela, Pratt aboard. I think this horse is super interesting here.
Oh, it's going to be a really good race. What a matchup between those 2 horses. I took Kinza on top. I think she's got a little bit higher of a ceiling than Copian, but that could be completely wrong. I just think Kinza has a lot of speed, will get out kind of in front. I know that Copian's pretty fast too, but I think Kinza will be a little faster, and I think she's going to take him gate to wire and win. But I don't blame you if you're taking the 4. I don't blame you if you're taking a shot with the 1, because the 1, nothing like you, pretty established with those stakes wins as well. So, but end of the day, I did end up going with the 3 Kinza on top.
Yeah, all that hype, early on, I guess late last year, with the Mandela horse, the Beholder daughter. What was her name? Help me.
Oh, geez, I've already forgotten.
I had it when I started to say that text.
Oh, Tamara.
Yeah,
Tamara. Yeah.
Now, you have this horse who might be, well, obviously is better because she's not running, but daughter of Omaha Beach. This is a horse that you would feel like going longer would not be quite an issue. But you're right. I think the 3 is the concern. Like, well, how far out will she go? As far as how much of a lead will she get on the 4? But I like the fact that Pratt stays aboard here. Pratt, riding for Mandela, just been crazy good. 56%, dude, when they team up this year. So give me the 4. I'm gonna go to I guess it's the upset. I imagine the 3 will be the favorite. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with the 4. I think it's gonna be, even though it's kind of a meaningless race in terms of points, because the points are gonna be kind of scattered. But if the 4 gets in, wins, like this might be kind of a semi-legit filly when it relates to the Kentucky Oaks, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. I definitely think the 4. If she can beat both these Baffords,
Yeah.
that's one you better look out for. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like you say, like it's one of those weird situations where the Baffords are kind of meaningless in a sense from the big picture. It's almost like a huge class test for the 4. If she can come in and beat these horses, then it almost validates you a little bit for her moving forward. So,
Yep.
all right. So we're both, or you're going on the 3. I got the 4. Let's go to back to Tampa Bay for race number 5 on the card. So the undercard of the Sam F. Davis. This is the Suncoast Stakes. It's worth 150K. Going 1 mile and 40 yards for 3-year-old fillies. Of course, this is a Kentucky Oaks prep race, 2010 642, just like the Las Virgenes and just like the same point structure as the Derby. Sam F. Davis. Field of 6 lines up here, and live talk for Todd Pletcher, 3-5 morning line favorite. Halterman, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought this was a little too low of a morning line for her.
It might be. I think you're getting that low of a line because to me, there are only 2 horses that kind of stand out amongst everybody else, and that's Power Squeeze. I think Power Squeeze and Live Talk are the 2.
Yeah.
So it may be accounting for the fact that maybe those 2 are the only 2 that are really going to take money. The rest of these probably not as much. So, look, I don't know what the odds are going to be. That kind of will probably dictate how I play it, but I do think Live Talk is going to win this thing. So I did put number 4 Live Talk on top. I really liked last time out. She showed kind of that she could be up towards the front, and she sat the pace last time, but it was slow. But still, her other races she kind of got a little too far back. If she can just kind of get up towards that front, I think she'll outfinish him. So I went number 4 Live Talk on top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to it's because, a couple factors, but mainly because of what the price I believe is going to be on the 4. I'm going to go with the 2 Power Squeeze.
Yeah.
I do think that the 4 is dangerous after that last race, kind of showed a different dimension there. The 2 will be able to sit off and come late, if at all, I guess. But this is a horse that, has ran well the last 2 races. Took a second to break the maiden. Once she kind of figured it out, that last race was visually really nice, and the numbers came back really nice. I like the fact that this is a horse that made that big impression at Gulfstream Park last out. Now comes to Tampa, and you get Delgado, who's been has ran really well here at Tampa here as of late, and Centeno. With those 2 combined, it's like a 40% percentage there. So give me the 2 on the upset over the 4 Live Talk. There you go. That's about as cut and dry as you can do rapid fire, I think.
Yeah, there's just not a ton to talk about today.
Not a ton to talk about, but it is Super Bowl weekend, boys and girls.
Yep. I figured that'd be the subject.
Are you guys? What time are you guys going live on Dudes Who Bet? 2?
Yes, 2:00.
2:00 Central. So if you guys want more content as it relates to the Super Bowl, obviously make sure you guys stick around and tune in for not just the Magic Mike later on this afternoon, but at 2 Central Time.
Yep.
Halterman and his dad talking Super Bowl.
Yep.
And maybe some on-course lessons about how to put in picks. not what to pick, but how to put them in. 2 different things. You probably that ship's probably sailed, hasn't it? So
the other day he did like 8 games on Saturday, and one of them was 7 NCAA basketball, 1 NCAA football. And I said, who's playing football? And he goes, "Oh, they'll know what I mean." So it's like, okay, yeah.
I love how he knew he knew what you're talking about. He knew the mistake, but still was like, "Yeah, they'll figure it out."
He probably doesn't know he can go in there and edit it. So,
oh, geez. Well,
yeah,
we all know like what it is to have a parent or whatever, an older person that in your life. It's just like, what, technology has bypassed you, and you either can choose to try to teach them, or you just say, you know what, just what do you need done? Okay.
Yep.
And I'll do it. So
he messes with the units sometimes, and it's like, I don't think he meant to do that, type of stuff. So What it is what it is. But the thing is, he wins every night, so people don't seem to care. And one guy was complaining once, and I wrote it back. I said, "Look, dude, he's 71 years old. Like, so he labeled it NCAA football. Okay, like, I think that Manhattan versus Fairfield is not NCAA football.
Yeah.
Come on, so,
yeah. If you can find that game in football, then I'll get then good job.
Yeah, in February.
But I think most of us with the brain know kind of what he's actually meaning. But yeah, it is pretty funny. Just like I said, it seems like I've seen football on there occasionally.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingdudes.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button at the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. Remember to check out the best bets, including Papa Dude, we just talked about, who's on the main menu there. So if you want to tag along with some of his plays, of course, if you're looking just for horses, we got that covered as well, all on the best bets page. So make sure if you guys haven't checked out the best bets page, it's just kind of a way for you guys to kind of, myself, Halterman, Magic, whoever you like to tell, like you say, okay, who are they actually playing today?
Yeah,
there's 100 different picks on the website. These are the picks that they're playing today. So it's a good way to kind of hone in on some of the picks. But again, we're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page here on racingdudes.com, our YouTube page, if you like that. Make sure you go subscribe, as well as all the podcast channels you guys listen to pods. We are on there, as well as the Magic Mike Show, who will be doing the late pick 5 here at Tampa, and the Dudes Who Bet, who will be doing the Super Bowl coverage here later on this afternoon. Speaking of Super Bowl, Halterman, we are just days away, and fortunately for me, it's become tradition for me to kind of like I basically, after we win the AFC Championship, I kind of check out of football for a good week and a half, just because I can't, if I focus on it too much, I stress out. So I just kind of put it off. I don't even think about it. And then I'm now getting to the point of the week where I'm like, okay, this is happening in a couple of days. This is the game that's happening. And I'll be honest, I'm nervous, but I'm also like unusually confident with it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. These are the worst, because I feel very confident, but then I look around and I always hate this. I hate this. Everybody's picking the Chiefs. Everybody. And it's like, oh God. Like, I hate being on public underdogs. Hate it. And that's honestly, to me, it seems very easy. This game seems easier than the Buffalo game for sure. I just think you look at San Francisco, it's like, well, they haven't really played very good defense. They haven't stopped the run. The Packers should have beat them. The Lions really should have beat them. Both those games were at home. I think the Chiefs win this one, and I don't think they'll have to sweat much. But then on the flip side, I look around and it's like, I can't find one person betting the 49ers. It's like, oh, that's
exactly.
That's not good. Yep.
Here's the thing that I'm having a hard time with from a betting standpoint, and yourself included, because you were on VSiN earlier this week talking about as the Racing Dudes Chiefs fan.
Hold on. Can I say something about that real quick?
Yeah.
Because this was hilarious. So they asked me to be on, right? And I said, whatever. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know they asked me to be on because they thought I was a Chiefs fan. So I'm sitting there, I'm getting ready to come on, and Patrick goes, all right, here's one of the biggest Chiefs fans we know here, friends of the show. And I'm like, okay, I have one segment. I have 11 minutes. And really, that means I have about 7 minutes to actually speak, because the other guys are talking too. So I had to I was thinking in my head, do I correct this and it take up 2-3 minutes of this time? Or do I just go with it, because I know my time is limited? So I just went with it. I just acted like a Chiefs fan, but I was such a weird, I had no idea that's what that was going to introduce me like that. And I was just like, oh my God, what do I do? Do I tell him like, because the whole thing was like, I think I can pull it off because I do watch them all the time and I don't hate them.
Right.
So it's like, I want them to win. So I'll just go with it. And I didn't know if that was the right decision or not, but it was the decision I made. So
I'll be real honest with you. So the way this transpired for me was on whatever, I think it was Monday. I got a text in the middle of the afternoon from Patrick, our boy Patrick at Beeson, who you were on with. And it literally said, and again, I haven't, I guess I still right now I don't know what it meant, but he said like, haha, I'm messing with you. You're the best. Thank you.
Okay. Sometimes I think Patrick confuses who we are. Because that was to me, because he sent me the same message.
And I said, haha, what? And then he told me, he goes, sorry, Jared, group chat with you and Aaron. He just came on the show. And I'm like, well, I'm not in the group chat. So I don't know what you're referring to. But then, so anyway, it triggered me to be like, okay, Halterman was on. Let me watch it. I record him every day. And I watched it and I was just dying laughing because I immediately knew. Then it all started to click. I was like, oh, wait, he thought, okay, yeah.
He got us confused is what happened. Especially, I know that 100% after that text now because and Patrick and I have talked about this a lot. It's like, I don't really have an NFL team, And so when he did that, I was just like, I guess I'll just go with this. Like, cause I knew like I had watched their show and they were just rapid firing guests. They're just getting as many guests as they can. So it's like, I don't want to like knock off this segment by going on 5 minutes about how they're wrong, So
no, I thought you did the right thing. Because I kind of wondered how you were going to handle it as I was watching it, and I was like, oh wait, no, he did the right thing because you don't want to be like, because then it makes them look like he doesn't know what he's talking about too, and you did them.
You don't like it's their show, and you don't want to make them look kind of dumb, Yeah. So I just was like, anyway, go ahead.
Go back to my original point is yourself included, and I'm talking like many pundits that I respect throughout the country on different networks where they're all saying the exact same thing. Everything I've seen, everything on paper tells me that the Chiefs are winning this game.
Yeah.
But I think SVP said it best the other day. He's like, but Vegas is in the business of making money, right?
Yep.
They're not making these lines to lose money. And so like, part of me wonders, do you think, because right now I don't know what it is currently, is it probably like minus 1 or 1.5 for the 49ers? But part of me wonders if this doesn't end up being the Chiefs -1 or something like that. Because everyone you talk to is betting the Chiefs. It almost feels like it's becoming kind of the sucker's bet. And I hate to say that because I'm really hoping the Chiefs win, obviously.
As an experienced gambler, it feels like the sucker bet.
Yeah. Like that's what the SVP was like. He's like, listen, I'm picking the Chiefs to win the game. But my bet is by the time kickoff comes, my bet is most likely going to be the 49ers.
I hate this situation because I'm with you. Everything, there's two parts of gambling, whether it's horses or whether it's sports, and it's the handicap and then it's the betting decision, right? And so I love to look at the splits and go the way that where Vegas makes the most money is the way I go, right? Mm-hmm. And that is totally San Francisco. Like it is stacked right now where Vegas is going to be rooting for San Francisco, folks, unless there's some kind of massive change the last couple of days, which could happen. But as of right now, Vegas, they're fans of San Francisco, which that's a scary proposition for me as a bettor. But as a guy that's an analyst, like you said, where is the case for the 49ers to win? I tried to make one, and it's like, maybe they can just run over this Chiefs defense. That's not going to happen. Maybe they can load up and stop the Chiefs on offense. I don't really think that's going to happen. So where do they win?
Here's the thing, like too, and like, so like from the brand name is the 49ers defense, but the reality is the Chiefs defense has outplayed them all year.
100%.
You look at the quarterbacks the Chiefs have faced this year. You look at the quarterbacks that the 49ers have faced this year. It's night and day.
Yep.
And the Chiefs have led at one point they led the NFL. I think they're like second or third top defense in the league versus 49ers. I think they were 14th. They're kind of middle of the road versus the Chiefs. Not to mention the Chiefs had to go, Tua and Tyreek, whatever. But they had to go into Buffalo and shut down Diggs and Allen. They had to go into Baltimore and shut down the number one rushing offense in the league, the MVP Lamar Jackson, and that offense shut them down. So it's like the test has been night and day when you compare the defenses. Purdy has not been successful when under a lot of pressure as well. You know this more than anybody from watching him in his college days. So there's just, like you said, there's everything pointing to the Chiefs because let's be honest, like the offense has started to play better in the playoffs. The Chiefs, I mean, I'd say more. What do you want to say? More like the ball they've played in the playoffs has been a lot more in relation to how well their defense is playing, if that makes sense.
They've played. Yes, I agree with that.
Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very
complimentary.
Complimentary. Thank you. And so they've come. It's almost like they've become this. Whereas all year they were trying to force to be the offense that we've come to know. Whereas in the playoffs, it kind of feels like, okay, this is who we are. This is what works. And they've leaned into it and it's working. So it's just, there's nothing I can see that that gives 49ers the edge here. Plus you have Taylor Swift. You have Taylor Swift on our side. Have you seen all the shit about that? The numbers, like how the conspiracy theories behind that?
Oh yeah.
How 13 is coming up everywhere and it's her favorite number and all this shit. And it's just like, I kind of feel like it's, I don't know. It's weird. Like everything about it, even the Taylor Swift numbers are pointing to the Chiefs.
That's what worries me.
I know. But
again,
even Brady lost some of these Super Bowls where, they should have won. So
yeah, I'm with you. I've sat down. I've just looked at this, and I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not a fan of anybody in NFL. I just like the NFL. When I saw the betting splits, I said, all right, let's make a case for the 49ers to make yourself feel good about the bet. I couldn't make one. Like, okay, let's say Chiefs defense versus 49ers offense. The 49ers are going to have to be run heavy in this game. If they drop back Purdy, it's going to get bad because A, he's very questionable. B, like you just said, the Chiefs will get pressure on him. That's kind of the specialty of that defense. And if you get pressure on him, you're going to turn him over a couple of times, and they just can't afford to do it. They're going to have to lean on McCaffrey in this game, and maybe he is enough. I don't think so. But again, you look at it and go, I think the Chiefs can reasonably stop the 49ers the majority of the night. So, okay, let's say the Niners get 20 points in this game. I just don't see a world after watching the 49ers the last half of the season and the first two games of the playoffs, how they're going to hold the Chiefs to that. They can't stop the run. They're pretty sketchy against the pass. The Chiefs offense isn't what it was, but it's good enough to be able to score on this team. It's a lot of red flags for me for the 49ers, with the one giant green flag is, hey, idiot, everybody's betting the Chiefs. Bet the 49ers. That's the only case I could make for them.
Well, and like to make the case for the 49ers as well, it's like, well, I've watched the Chiefs obviously every single second of this year, and it's like if there's never a game that they look like, or that they should win by dominate or look dominant or even play the game dominant, that they actually do. It's always close. It's always, even look at the playoff games. We outplayed the hell out of Buffalo. We definitely outplayed Miami. The Ravens game, was more a lot of defense, but still, like all those games we outplayed them, and yet every one of them was close because we just don't pull away. So if you're making a case for the 49ers, you say, well, I mean, shit, they all it takes is it's Super Bowl. And if we keep this game close, I mean, it's just going to take one big play or two for them to swing it the other way. So the Chiefs need to need to do something they haven't been doing, and that's like actually, pull away.
Yeah.
But let me just say this to any of this is the last thing I'll say, and to any of the 49ers faithful or anyone that's betting against the Chiefs or hates the Chiefs or talking, because there's a lot of that, it seems like as we become the villains in the NFL over the last couple of years. Like, and this is just as an advice, like all the shit talking and all the booing and saying this, like I'm just saying, like, it's feeding the Chiefs. So you're only hurting your chance. And I get like some Joe Schmo is not gonna, like, Mahomes does not hear you, but it like all the chatter of the villains and all, like they love it.
Yeah.
Like like even Mahomes is like, I love being the villain. Kelsey obviously loves being like, this is only helping them, the more hate that they're getting towards like the fan base and like, oh, they always win. It's like, so, but I guess my point is like, it just kind of amazes me that these people keep leaning into that. Like, these guys, I hate them. They're the worst. Like, they cheat, they get all the calls. Mahomes whines. It's like, I mean, you're not making it any better. You need, what the problem is, you need to like them, because then that's when they'll let you down. So,
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't understand the hate really for them. And again, I think it's just because they're good,
Yeah, I mean, listen,
So,
truth. It's the same way. And welcome. Hey, welcome. I hadn't seen you in the chat in a while.
that is true.
But look at, I'm not like, everyone was that way with the Patriots, right? I mean, you either were with them or you hated them, right?
Yep.
And it seems like no matter in Alabama, same thing, where you have those teams, and if they're up there at the top, everyone hates them. So,
yep. And that's all this is, because they're, people try to villainize Mahomes. It's really fascinating. Yeah, it really, really is. It's just like, yeah, this guy literally does nothing wrong ever.
Other than have his dad and his brother, but other than that, that's it.
It is awkwardly, I don't know what the word is, but it is awkward that he is surrounded by so many
idiots,
not so great people.
Yeah.
And he is who he is. Like, his dad obviously has got problems. His brother is an idiot. I mean, but he's not that way. So
he really has. If you can, this is like, what was that? His dad's third DUI, DWI. His brother basically has had all kinds of issues around him, and yet, I mean, there probably isn't a more pristine dude in the NFL as far as like that. When you talk about that high caliber of a guy than Mahomes, it's pretty remarkable, really.
Yep.
Truth wants to know, I have a question for you guys, since I haven't been keeping up with the 2-year-olds that are now 3. Are there any standout fillies this year?
Yeah, I mean, watch the race out at Santa Anita, the Lost Virgenes. There might be one there, but there really haven't been a lot of them that have run yet. Just FYI, won the Breeders' Cup, sure, but haven't seen her yet this year, so not yet.
Yeah, well, I feel like the Oaks division, even more so than the Colts division, has been, not even, like you said, not really even like, oh, they're shitty. It's just more like, I haven't seen them,
Nope.
So
no, really haven't got started.
So are you? I guess you know what? I'll just let you guys tune in here in about 30 minutes and let Halterman and his dad kind of give their final analysis and who they might be playing in the Super Bowl. By the way, I have to tell you this, Halterman. I think you did over on Mahomes rushing and Pacheco rushing.
Yeah.
Which I think the Pacheco one might be a little shaky, just because that one feels way too good. But I think the Mahomes one is hitting 1,000%, because he's gonna, like, that's just what he does in big games. So
yeah, and the numbers are low. Like, his is 26.5, talking about Mahomes, and then Pacheco was like 67, and they're like, I can't pass that up. You just can't.
He should hit that.
He should, but we do know how that goes with him.
Here's the thing, but like, Mahomes will likely have at least one 20+ yard run in the game alone, like one of them. So I feel like, just out of because we all know with his feet, he gets out of the pocket, either makes a play or he takes off. We've seen it. It really feels like every big game he does this. He uses his feet, and so he's kind of a low. I know he's a very under the radar type of runner. He's not fast, but he's he just knows how to avoid sacks and knows how to. He just gets a ton of yards after that when he runs with it.
I've told you, and you argue with me. He avoids so many sacks, it's insane. You're like, it's offensive line is great. Look at these sacks. It's like, dude, if they had a normal quarterback, they would be giving up a ton of sacks. He is a magician with running the ball. It's incredible. You watch him, and it's just like, even if it's like he throws it away, it's like, how did he get out of that?
Oh, I know.
I think he's a tremendous runner.
Yeah, and he's well, I know this on Madden. He's way too fast on Madden because Cohen thinks he can run with him every time, and the other night we were playing. He got a 90-yard touchdown with him. It's just like the dude's untouchable. I think they went a little overboard on Madden, but still,
I don't know. He's pretty fast.
By the way, Cohen has officially beat me at Madden.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Not like, hey, I'm gonna try to no, like he beats me. So
you have to try to beat him, basically.
I'm like, I went from like, hey, like let me make I won't tackle him this one. I'll let him. And now it's like, I'm like, shoving it in his face, be like, yeah, that's right.
It's a competition now. That's great.
I know, but it's pretty impressive, and I love watching. And he's become I would say Madden really, but just in general, like he knows, like I just seeing the level of it started off with okay, I'll pick the play for him, give him the controller, and I'll say, hey, press X, and press X to hike it, press X again, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even I don't do anything. He literally I'll line up. He'll be like, oh, I know what you're doing. He's like, damn it, he's getting it, which is cool to see, right?
That is, it's when I was playing with my nephew when he was probably a little older, but when it clicked, I was playing with him one day and I was like, oh, he knows the plays, it's 2nd and 12 and he's running a screen, and it's it's like, okay. Yeah, he's figured it out. So that is kind of fun when they start to do it themselves,
Well, when we're watching the game, live, the real game, I'll be like, hey, it's like, what do you think what would you run here? Just to see what, he'd be like, I would give it to Pacheco or whatever. Yeah, we all say that, right?
Yeah, I've been saying that all year.
Yeah, he but his one weakness in the game is, and if I really want to hone in on if I could control a linebacker or something, I usually know he loves himself some Rashee Rice more than I do, I think, and so I was like, dude, you got to stop throwing it to him. I'll have 3 guys on him,
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool to see.
That's fun. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, guys, that's all we have. Again, this weekend, we got the same F Davis this weekend, and then heads up because it gets really going next week with the Risen Star, and goes on from there. Good luck to everybody that's betting the Super Bowl. Good luck to my Chiefs, and good luck to everyone betting this weekend the ponies. All right, guys, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.